So Mirror's Edge Catalyst will be coming out later this year on May the 24th, and I'm thoroughly looking forward to this rebirth of the series. Apparently DICE don't want to call it a sequel or a reboot since it will be quite different. I only recently got round to playing through the original title actually, so many of the problems and issues I had with the game are still fresh for me, and from the Catalyst gameplay I've seen so far, I'm happy to say it's become apparent to me that they're changing a lot of the game mechanics for the better. So in this video, I wanted to go over 5 things from Mirror's Edge that won't be in Catalyst and why that will make it a better game. Number 1. You won't be able to pick up weapons, and taking down enemies will be done via hand-to-hand parkour moves alone. Wait, what? You can't pick up weapons and that makes it a better game? Well, let me explain. The funnest thing for me in Mirror's Edge has always been tying these parkour moves together back to back in order to seamlessly traverse across the world and flow from place to place. The feeling when you pull it off without wondering where to go or falling to certain death is extremely rewarding. But in the original game, whenever you ran into a group of enemies, often the quickest and safest way to get past them was to engage them head on rather than simply trying to outrun them. Basically, when you got in close to one of the enemy soldiers or policemen, they'd try and melee you with their weapon, their gun flashes red for a split second, and if you click the right mouse button at exactly the right time, you disarm them, taking their weapon, and can then shoot them with it. There was also a slow motion mode you could engage for a short time by hitting the R key, the primary purpose of which was to assist you in disarming the guards, since without the slow-mo, your chances of disarming them were about the same as catching a fly with a pair of chopsticks. However, the downside to this was that you then had to sit through this super slow motion takedown scene time after time, which got really tiring. Now once you had the weapon, you only had one clip. There were no reloads, so you would kill one guard, move over to him, pick up his weapon, kill the next one, and then rinse and repeat. These types of sequences really stopped the game from flowing the way it should have, and the gunplay wasn't especially fun, interesting, or rewarding either. All I could think of is I can't wait to get back to parkour again. So in Catalyst they have done away with the system entirely, and now taking out enemies links into the flow of your parkour moves, like for example doing a wall run into a roundhouse kick. It looks like now you'll not only have to plan your running route based on which way is the quickest or easiest, but also on where the enemies are, taking out as many along the way as you can. So combat is now an extension of movement rather than an unsatisfying minigame. To further support this philosophy, you will be invincible whilst in the middle of an uninterrupted combo of moves, so as long as you keep running and moving forward, you should be able to deal with the guards pretty handily. This is a much better direction for combat, since the original Mirror's Edge was at its best when it focused on movement. Number 2. Catalyst will be an open world game, whereas the original Mirror's Edge was extremely linear. Meaning after you'd completed the main game, which wasn't particularly long and only had about 10 missions or so, you had little to do outside of time trials and speedruns. Catalyst won't have numbered missions. It'll be an entire city named the City of Glass that you progressively unlock that you can seamlessly traverse without any loading screens to stop you. There will be side missions and primary missions as well as collectibles, similar to other open world games. Number 3. They've promised us a much better storyline. If you've ever played the original Mirror's Edge, you'll know that the storyline is nothing to write home about. This game will focus much more on building up the character of Faith and exploring what makes her tick. And thank God they've done away with those terrible flash animation cutscene thingies. Maybe I just never saw the underlying charm in them, but I'm really glad they have regular CG cutscenes in Catalyst, and my god, are they looking good. The original Mirror's Edge actually ran on Unreal Engine 3, but Catalyst will be running on Frostbite 3. And well, you only need to look at a game like Star Wars Battlefront to see what they can do with that. Number 4. The sound design has seen much improvement. Since you're playing a character in first person and can't actually see yourself, DICE are using sound to give you cues about how you're doing in the game. The longer you run in Mirror's Edge Catalyst, the faster you go, just like in the original game. And you can hear Faith's heart beating in accordance with this, and that tells you whether you're going fast or slow, or for example, whether or not she's on low health if she's coughing and spluttering. The combat also looks incredibly satisfying, not least due to the sound design of these quick, tight, impactful hits. From what I've heard, it just sounds really good. And last but not least, number 5, the flow of movement whilst traversing over rooftops through air vents or up drain pipes has been completely streamlined. All of these movements in the original really slowed you down and decreased that fun feeling of fluidity. So it's nice to see in the gameplay here that Faith slides through air vents and shimmies up drain pipes fairly quickly now. You might also notice that the number of assets to traverse levels or scale a building have been significantly bettered, and DICE have gotten a bit more creative there. In Mirror's Edge you really knew what to look for, and things became very familiar all too quickly. It seemed there was one particular set of art assets that were used over and over again for outdoor parkour, and then another set for interiors. But in Catalyst they're getting a little more creative with what you can climb on and use to get from A to B. For example, those arty outcroppings on the wall here can be used to climb upwards towards the ceiling. So there you have it guys, 5 reasons I think Mirror's Edge Catalyst is going to blow away its predecessor. If you would like to get into the beta, I will leave a link down below to the sign up page, and hopefully, if I'm accepted, I'll be able to bring you guys a few videos on it. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. If you did, perhaps think about leaving a like and subscribing for more Mirror's Edge content in the future. I thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.